Hey everybody, welcome back to the All Green channel. I'm Jimbo. Thanks for following along. I'm super excited today. We're doing a how-to video, our first one on the channel, on the homestead for you guys. And what we're building today is a chicken waterer for this winter. Stay put.
This world's in trouble, you know what we mean. Homesteading is a lifestyle, healthy, wholesome, and green.
All right, everybody, so guess what? We've got a bunch of materials that we need. They're all real simple materials, though, to build this thing. Hopefully, you guys will find some use out of this. We are in northern New York, okay? So it is cold here. I don't know, 5 months of the year. It's pretty chilly. But the chickens, you know, what I wanted when I was designing this project and starting to think about it, research it a little bit, was I wanted something simple. I wanted something that I didn't have to drag a gallon or two of water down every day through the snow, down to the barn. I'm sitting in the coop here, and this is in our lower barn. It's not far from the house, but it's far enough that once we get 2 foot of snow, I don't really want to wade through it to get to it every single day. So I'm thinking about ease, I'm thinking about functionality, and specifically, I don't want my water to freeze for the chickens. I want to be able to store enough water in it that I'm not having to refill it every single day. And so I've come up with some ideas. We're going to put it all together in this video today. And let's go through the materials right now. So the big item, the main thing that you really need that I'm putting the water in is this. This is I think it's a 17-gallon bucket. You can get them at almost any farm store. They come in various sizes. They're all purpose. You know, some people, we used to feed our horses out of this, put grain in it. We fill it up with water for water tubs. You know, anything. You know, I move shavings in them sometimes. So they're just all purpose, easy to use plastic buckets. Now this one's 17 or so gallons. I want to keep 15 gallons of water in it or so when I fill it up for the chickens, and that's going to keep them, I've got about 30 chickens. Based on what they drink every day here, that's going to keep them 1 to 1.5 weeks without me having to refill it. So I'm really excited about that. Now, what I do look for in a bucket like this for this project, so if you're copying this, think about this. I wanted to put a top on it, right? I don't want the chicken to go in there on accident. I don't want things or debris or dust to get in there. So I'm going to cover this. And to do that, I need a flat surface. Now, a lot of these, they have handles. This one's pre-molded. They'll have probably a piece of rope on them, some of them. So I don't want that rope sticking up above the level. And so that's what I was looking for on that. Oh, and one other thing here was I was looking for, you know, as vertical walled buckets as I had. Now I had this one already. I didn't go out and buy it. Not for several years now. I've had this for a long time. But this is fairly vertical, you know, if I stand it upright. And the reason for that is that the little gizmos that we're going to put in there, they're called nipples. The water nipples I'm going to be installing around this bucket for the chickens to peck at and get their water from. That is, I just wanted them fairly flush so the chickens didn't have to like bend too much. Just make it easier for them, more attractive for them to drink from. So that's what I've got going on there. You'll recognize this. This is my chicken water de-icer. We showed it in the last video. Go check it out. I talked a little bit about it in that video. And what I do plan to do is have it hanging from the rafters down with an extension cord in through a hole of inside of my cover. So you'll see that later in the video. Now, these are the nipples I was talking about. They're called, they're called the Clean All-Weather Chicken Watering Valve. And the brand name is Freeze Free. Let me give you a close-up. I got these on Amazon. There's 4 of them. And they're a different style than the typical watering valve. These ones, I think it's something to do with the valve itself in the inside. It's less likely to freeze. It still might, or still could. There's no guarantees, right? But they do say freeze free in the name, so I'm hopeful. They'll be better than the original regular cheap ones that you can get. You can get them for like 35, 40 cents each, all right? Big packs of them. But these are kind of the special ones. I paid a little bit more. I think maybe 10 bucks for the 4 of them. So, you know, pricey for a chicken nipple, but you know, I don't want to run into problems, and so I'm willing to pay a few extra bucks to have this for hopefully years. Okay, so that's what we're installing in there. Let's see, I'm gonna need some duct tape. Got my drill. Okay, these do take a specific diameter drill bit, so that's a 3/8 inch bit, okay, or 10 millimeters. And then I've got a 1 3/8 spade bit. You can use a hole saw bit if you've got one. If you don't have one of these I just like a little bit. They're better for wood. And what I've got is a piece of plywood I'm going to be putting over top of this. I'm going to drill down a hole right in the middle so the water heater is hanging right in the middle of that. So we're going to see what all that is. And then the last thing, okay, I don't need this last thing. This thing is just kind of me getting in my own head, thinking about it too much. I'm thinking to myself, I want efficiency, baby. I want to not spend a ton of money on electricity. I already told you in the last video, my heater, let me just show you. This heater here, it heats up to a certain temperature, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it'll turn off and it'll wait until the water temperature drops to about 80 degrees Fahrenheit and then kicks on again. I want it to turn on and heat as least amount of times as possible. So what's that mean? I need insulation. Now, I got looking into insulation, buying different kinds. What kind do I want? There's ones with air pockets. There's different materials. Oh my goodness. It's just insulation, guys. So I didn't want to put any more money into it. This is just a real basic project I'm going to try out. I think it's going to work well. What I did have is an old camping sleeping mat, okay? That's what it's meant for, is insulating my body heat and keeping the temperature when I'm in my sleeping bag, sleeping in a tent, up from the ground sink, you know, the ground heat sink. So I've got this. I'm not using it. I haven't used it since I was probably, I don't know, before I was 30 years old. And now I don't sleep on the ground a whole lot anymore. But we can cut this up. I can use it when I want, or as I want. And about the same thing here, I've got an old fleece, real thin summer style sleeping bag. And that's what I'm gonna use. The zipper doesn't even work on it. So I'm gonna use a mixture, a combination of both of these things. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to wrap it around here and I'm gonna put it underneath and on top too, wherever I can, as long as it doesn't touch your heating element. The heating element in my design is going to be hanging through that hole in the wall, in the top, and just hanging free floating inside the water. It's not even going to touch the bottom. I'm going to hang it almost to the bottom. And the thing claims to not heat up enough to really burn or melt anything. I still want to be careful and just hang it like right above, maybe an inch or two right above the bottom of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the work here, and I'm probably going to fast forward it so you don't have to watch me take a minute or two to just get things perfect, okay? I'll just kind of run it through pretty quickly for you to watch the process. But that was it. That was the process of what I'm going to do. Let me do it one more time with you. I'm going to take my bucket, okay? I'm going to drill a 3/8 inch hole, okay, with my drill and bit. I've got 4 holes to make because I've got 4 freezeless nipples. And so I'm going to be putting them around, and I'm going to space them 1, 2, 3, 4. That way the chickens have a lot of different ways they can get access to it. Or if one's getting drunken from, the chickens can go around to the next one. I will note there, by the way, depending on how many chickens you have, okay, you might need more of the water valves, the nipples, because there's a ratio. I don't remember what it was. Do your research on it, but it's basically, so many chickens need so many valves to drink from, okay? Because you don't want them to go thirsty if you've got so many of them and they're not taking turns or whatever. So you get it. But that's what I'm gonna do, drill holes. These things are real simple. Okay, I take them out of this plastic and they actually just screw in. Easy, I don't even need any tools for that, okay? So I'm gonna do that. I'm then going to take my homemade insulation, sleeping bag, and sleeping mat. I'm gonna cut them to size and use my duct tape to hold that in place. I'm gonna make sure my piece of plywood fits on top. I'm gonna drill my hole in the top of the plywood, and then I'm going to get my extension cord. You might need one depending on where you're putting this. I wanna put mine right in the middle of the coop here. So I'm gonna be hanging an extension cord so it hangs down from the rafters and goes into this. And I will make one more note you're gonna notice in the video is I'm gonna be putting this not on the ground, but on a small pallet that I have. And the reason I'm thinking because of this is, well, first of all, I don't like putting anything on the ground. It gets moist, it gets, I don't know, things can get on it, grow on it, whatever. I just keep things above grade when I can. But I'm also able to put some insulation on the bottom as well, is my thinking. And again, I don't want it too high because I want the chickens to be able to access it. But if you think about it, if this was sitting right on the ground, right, and it's only down here, the chicken's got to bend down to get it anyway. So if I put it up a few inches, right, it's gonna be closer to the level that they need to peck at it. But I'm only going up about 2 inches from the bottom here because if I go too high, all this water that's gonna fill underneath there, they're not gonna be able to access. The chicken, it's gotta be low in whatever receptacle you're using. Some people use PVC pipes. Some people make these homemade systems out of anything plastic, really. Any plastic container, people can put a valve on it. But you want it pretty low so the water is at that level most of the time. Then you refill it once a week or whenever you need to. So anyways, that's the game plan. Hang on tight because here we go. I'm gonna do the process right now.